ghosts have many affectations, and with them it is unfashionable to appear in houses that are not dilapidated. Also, many of them are shy, and some are proud, and others are sleepy, so when a house comes alongside another house, their ghosts, as a rule, sit quite still and content themselves with listening to the conversation of the houses. But those whom the stories are mostly told about are, of course, the more eager and restless spirits who can be seen looking out through the windows of their houses and are often accompanied by strange lights. Some of these are affectionate ghosts who long to know their fellow ghosts and to be understood by them, and many sad stories are told about these ghosts. It is pleasant to sit and talk of ghosts. None of our stern, wise elders can come and vex us with certificated knowledge. We get to know each other, and that is a great matter, and a very difficult matter, for generations of wise men have constructed cases for us, and written out labels to be stuck on us, and classified all our thoughts, and wise men of the present come round and say, "Ah, yes, this is a thing we thoroughly understand," and that is hateful, and it is absurd, for we are really ghosts. We are like those of whom I have spoken, of whom the sad stories are told. We will talk no more of ghosts, or we shall sleep less soundly than we ought to sleep, and I promise to tell about the inmates of this haunted house. They were not at all troubled by their ghost, but then they were many, and they spent all their time in dancing. I never knew exactly how many they were. It would not have been easy to count them. Night and day they danced down the corridors and up the passages and through a hall where a wonderful machine beat out the time for them and seized them as they approached and whirled them round and sent them off again down the corridors, and that was great fun. It was never very light in any part of the dwelling, if that could be called a dwelling, where nobody dwelt for an instant, for these people even slept dancing, but they could see each other quite well, for they were all dressed in scarlet. They must have been fond of dancing, and certainly there was plenty of company, but I think they found it monotonous. For whenever they found a crack in the walls, they at once forced their way out into the open, although they always died immediately. But these sad occurrences were rare, for, as I have said, this was an unusually safe house to live in. It was quite distressed when it saw its inmates rush out and die, and so it did its very best to keep from being injured. One day, a great battle was fought between the houses of two neighbouring countries, and soon so much smoke arose that it became difficult to see what was going on. But the matter did not end in smoke, for many houses were destroyed, and many were grievously damaged. And this house was present at the first, and this is the story I promised to tell. Perhaps it could not help being present, and certainly as soon as the hostile houses hove in sight, it thought of its inmates and the danger into which it was bringing them. But it did not fully realize the cruelty of remaining where it was, until the approaching houses began to open fire, and then it determined to remain there no longer. Yes, it had wonderful machinery. It was a splendid house to live in. Nevertheless, these bright little dancers come to a woeful and untimely end. Years went by, and they still danced on in safety, but danger often lurked outside now, and their house outside looked less and less desirable. Nobody wished to possess it any longer.